It's time for a little coffee break because everyone loves a little coffee break. Oh, that's what I was looking for.
Pressing them buttons.
I'm just pressing buttons and I finally got there. We're back. Liam, we've been away from you. It's good to be back. We did have a reground episode last week, but behind the curtains, guys, just so everyone knows, that was recorded before we took off for host. So this is the first time we're all back in the room looking at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, not us. We were living in a little house together in Milan. Yeah. So, we saw sides of each other that we never thought we'd see.
The Euro working holiday.
But it's good to be back with you, Liam.
Thanks for abandoning me.
Yeah, well, I hope you enjoyed
really nice and,
capacity building.
Still changing.
Well, Milan wasn't fantastic with amazing food, wine, people, and loved ones around. So I'll tell you that much.
You wouldn't have missed much.
You wouldn't have missed much. We didn't see all the greatest innovation in coffee and talk to the greatest minds and see an Australian win the World Barista Championship while we were there. So, it wasn't much.
Yeah, fair enough. Luckily, there was so much content coming from you guys that I could, I just felt like I was living there. I hope everyone's also seen it,
Yeah, absolutely. And we're coming off an episode that we just had with Maxwell Colonna-Dashwood. Man, incredible. I think there's probably periods in there. I'd love one of the listeners to actually get a stopwatch out and see from the first time Maxwell starts talking, how long until we actually say a word?
I think we're just sitting there just transfixed, going like brains, just soaking it in.
Yeah, but he almost asks himself a question as he's going through and he goes, and I guess that leads you to think about, innovation in this way. And so then what I think about that is, and then he just goes on, I'm like, you don't even need us here. Just run the show, baby.
It's perfect though. I mean, that's exactly the kind of people that are exciting to have on the podcast where he's thought about things so much. He's put so much conscious attention into it that the ideas were just coming out beautifully formed and then flowed one into the other and linked together. And it was like, wow, we definitely need to get him back for some more episodes in the future.
Yeah, and sometimes, you meet those people that are so well-learned and educated and smart and curious where you just sometimes listening to them you're too smart for me, man.
What am I doing with my life?
I can't. No, but I think he did well at, he does well at explaining it and making it approachable. And I think we did well at kind of gleaning the things that people can take away who are working in the industry. Because some of it is quite, large thinking and quite broad. And we're just trying to bring it down into a more palatable kind of way.
Yeah. And I think if you haven't listened to the podcast yet, definitely download it, subscribe and like it. But it was an episode where we kind of wanted to tackle the idea of how to best learn on your coffee journey and how to tackle new understandings of things. And Maxwell was the perfect person to kind of get us all thinking in new ways about that because as he said himself, he's basically a student of coffee. He distinguished, he said, I'm a terrible pupil. I'm terrible at turning up to structured education in a classroom, but I'm a great student. I go out and I learn and I figure out how to get to the bottom of ideas. And he kind of shared with us some different techniques for how he approaches that. But I think it's, there was so much insight into how you could apply that, whether it be as a barista, kind of going and tackling, learning about a new subject in coffee preparation, or maybe you're a roast looking to establish your business a little bit better. So you can kind of apply the techniques, I guess, and the principles in lots of different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, I think a lot of it came down to get your hands dirty, do the job. You have to learn by doing. And then the other half was being curious and exploring. But I feel like the difference was splitting them, not having them overlap too much. It's get your learnings and then once you've kind of satisfied with those, maybe then apply them. But the learning as doing thing felt like it could get a little messy in the way that it evolves.
Yeah, and he also tied that in a lot too. We had a great conversation about innovation and what even is innovation in terms of something that's a significant shift versus just slight iterations and refinements. And he was saying the biggest lesson was don't innovate on your customers. Do not do live guinea pig testing.
I will throw out though, and he did preface with it. He set it up that he's I was at that time the UK Barista Champion and World Barista competitor. So there has to be like a little bit of like, were they just doing it because they knew that he was who he was? I'm sure you've had it. I've had it. Like I've had a guy, I've walked in and I just want like a quick like takeaway coffee to go. And I've seen the barista behind the bar taking out the freezer coffees and going through about like 12 of them to dial in to like finally serve a coffee. And I'm like, well, that's a different experience than what an everyday customer's kind of getting. So there's probably a little bit where I hope they're not just giving customers a coffee and going, this tastes like crap, but it's a new process that we're trying.
Yeah. Yep. No, I really liked, my mind is still buzzing, honestly. I'm still trying to unpack each of the different things. I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to the podcast, I think. But I liked the idea that, both with innovation and other aspects of our coffee journey, we often get excited and maybe distracted by the glitzy, flashy, the new stuff, right? But there's so much power and value in just doing the core principles really well and continuing to refine and get that kind of, whether it be muscle memory of how you work behind the bar, just getting that really well delivered. Thinking about how can I do customer service better, thinking about I need to get better skills at my production roasting workflow, all of these things that are maybe the less sexy, the less kind of exciting things to write a blog about or do on social media, but it's the day in, day out refinement that is going to underpin the success, not just whether you've got the latest new thing on the bench.
Yeah, and he talked about in cafes, like so much of it comes down to the hospitality, the being there day in, the consistency. And I see that. You see cafes here where they're next door to each other and it feels like their menu is exactly the same. It's the exact same vibe, yet one of them has a line 20 meters down the road and one of them's empty.
Yep.
There's got to be something beyond just like that coffee tasted 1% better, you know?
Yeah.
What was the other thing? Oh, and he's done so many things that we couldn't even talk about, like his exploration in like pod coffee, right?
Yeah.
Which is super interesting of like that contrast between a coffee nerd and pod coffee. So I'd love to chat to him about that. But he's obviously written these amazing books, one of them being Water for Coffee, with the new one coming out soon. But he's also created basically like the Brita jug, the Brita jugs that filter in your fridge, filter the water. He's created one specifically for coffee. What's it called?
Yeah, the Peak.
The Peak. And I haven't seen too much about this, but it's really interesting. Imagine like a Brita jug for your coffee, but you do a water hardness test of your tap. Based off your result, you then change the setting on your jug so that it's specifically filtering your water to get it right. And then not only that, but as it filters, it's leaving in or adding whatever it is, certain minerals that are better for coffee. So it's not just like drinking water where you're like, it's filtered, it's clean now. It's like specifically filtering it so that your coffee tastes better, which I thought is a really cool and something I want to try out.
Yeah, there's been lots of conversation about how important good water is for brewing. But most of the time, the filters that we utilize are there to protect equipment or remove like lime scale and things like that. They're not really optimized for good extraction and good flavor. And so, it's great to have that domestic focused product. And again, it taps into what he was saying and a lot of what you talk about, Rohan, of the home environment, the home coffee making environment being this kind of like breeding ground for innovation and for movement, where the B2B and cafe world can maybe be a little bit slower because it's like singular purchases. There's a smaller number of the market. Whereas if you think about all the consumers who make coffee at home, there's a lot more drive to innovate in that space. There's a lot more financial kind of movement there. And I think, this is just a really great example of like, okay, we're going to improve coffee quality by improving the water at home. How do you do it? People aren't necessarily creating these fancy inline filters for all their filtered water. This is going to make it accessible.
It feels like water's the hardest one to convince people of as well. I think because water comes out of a tap and that it's clear and you can't really see any difference. Or maybe because it's not fun and sexy. Yeah. That's what we're talking about with innovation, that everyone always wants to push away from water, and it's probably the easiest way to like improve your coffee.
But it's also kind of the hardest thing to fix, Like
Yeah.
at home, like what do? You have to like install an inline, like get a plumber, install like water cartridge filters, have
for
a filtered water tap.
espresso, that's where it gets. I mean, for filter coffee, you can just buy like a filtered water, and then if you want to add like a mineral component,
Yeah.
which is still, it's still annoying, but it's not
Yep.
too hard. But Simon, I think, friend of the show, Simon, was chatting about like espresso machines aren't designed to make the coffee taste better. They're designed to, and water, is designed, water is designed to make the espresso machine last longer, not make the coffee taste better, which that'll be a huge evolution once we can kind of solve that issue.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's that easy access to these improvements, like for a home user, that's major steps forward.
Now, one thing I wanted to chat about, jumping across, and I also haven't talked to you too much about this before recording, so I don't know where your like non-disclosure agreements and what you can and cannot say are, but I thought we should chat about your experience judging. Obviously, Jack Simpson, the World Barista Champion, is all over social media right now. I can't open up my phone without that sexy man just jumping up and in my face.
Those curls.
Yeah, which I
curls
just want to boing them. Look at them. I just want to, boing. Like, I can do it. I've only got Liam here.
What do we say? Yeah. That's pretty good.
That's got some good recoil on that.
Okay, we were doing a graphic the other day and I walked past and I was like, why am I holding a milk thing? And I'm like, wait, no, this is Jack. Just because
You do have some similar hairstyles.
Yeah.
The hairstyle of champions. That's what we like to call it there, Liam.
That's it.
But I wanted to speak about your experience judging just quickly and also coaching.
Yeah.
Because you coached and we just drank some coffee. Tell us about that first. What are we drinking here?
Yeah, so this was exciting. As you say, we've just got back from the host trip with the World Barista Championships, and I was lucky enough to be playing kind of a double role, not at the same time, but I was coaching the Ugandan barista champion, Ibrahim.
What a sweet guy.
He's amazing.
He just ran up to me. I'd never met him. He just ran up to me in like the trade halls and was like, "It's just coffee," and just yelled it at me. And I was like, amazing. I was like, it took me a second to click, and then I was like, oh, I know who you are. He's like, I'll be up on stage tomorrow. I'm like, oh my God, give me a hug.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, so I've done a few years of different coaching, over the time. So helping out barista competitors, and obviously you've got to declare your conflicts of interest, and you can never judge them. So I guess the way that works, I was coaching and also judging, and basically the moment that the judging kind of responsibilities start, and there's a calibration day beforehand, you have to kind of create that separation, and even if you're not going to be judging them, it's kind of about keeping it clear and transparent that there's no conflicts of interest between the judging pools and the competing pools, right? So kind of just making sure it's all above board.
And dude, one thing you were telling me that I thought was absolutely crazy, but I guess it kind of makes sense. So a little while ago, I learned that every judge that is there is donating their time and money to be there, which especially if you're traveling from Australia is like cray for like putting yourself up, flying on a plane, doing all that. But not only that, once you get there, you can do the calibration round and you can be told that you will not be judging. So you can fly all the way there from Australia, do the calibration, then like, you know what? No, you're not going to be judging.
Yeah, it's pretty stringent.
That's cool.
It's pretty, there's definitely moments of nervousness, even for myself. This was my 12th WBC judging, and even then turning up, you're like, is this going to be okay? It's an interesting process. So, we talked about this in our episode with Hendry about how to become a judge or how to become a great judge, that to qualify to judge at the world level, you need to generally have judged at least 2 national finals kind of competitions previously. So you've had 2 years of judging at your national highest level. Then you apply. Then you have to do a judging certification. So they actually test you on your knowledge of the rules and regulations, on your behavior and your management on stage, on your ability to fill out the form and debrief, all of the skills around judge. Then if you get ticked off on that and you pass that, you're World Coffee Championship certified in that pool. But then when you get to the world competition, we had a calibration day prior to the world competition starting. So we all gathered in Milan. It was a full day, and we basically had a rules refresh on any little adjustments that had happened from previous year. So making sure that all these judges from different countries around the world are really using the correct interpretations and going to go into the competition applying it in a consistent manner. Then we tasted a whole bunch of coffees. So we were served like an espresso and had to use the espresso segment, score it appropriately, a milk beverage, score it appropriately, and debrief in our kind of teams, because there are these critical skills, right, of like you can taste it, you can write the form correctly and fill it out. There's how well you are calibrated to the rest of the panel, right? And then there is also how you conduct yourself in that. Because what happens is we all taste individually on stage, and then afterwards we go back of house, and the head judge will lead the sensory panel through a deliberation to kind of discuss if there is any score discrepancies, right? So there's 4 of us, and Rohan, if you scored something a 5 and everyone else is scoring at a 3, they'll ask you to talk through your score and your qualification for like, why did you score it like this? Others will speak through, like I might say, well, I scored it like this and lower because of these characteristics. And then we've got to kind of come to at least an understanding or some kind of consensus there, because it wasn't like radically different shots. And so it's how you conduct yourself in that conversation. Right. If you're like, nope, I don't care, I tasted this.
It's a 5.
It's a 5. I'm not like listening to any other input. Maybe you're going to have like little asterisks next to your name.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So tell us about the coaching. So obviously you made it through the calibrating, you're judging, but from the coaching side, like, and especially someone from Uganda, like what a different experience from like where we are and like how we're doing it. There's things that I look at where it's like tough, because I know you were saying in Uganda, like you can only use Ugandan coffee, right?
Pretty much, yeah. It's very difficult to import or get any other country's coffee in.
Yeah. And so just the flexibility of like what it must be like being a competitor from different countries, and like, you know, you have someone like here, like Jack with the whole team of like everyone behind him. You've got Axel Coffee Roasters, which is amazing because the competition is about innovation, right? And these guys are leading innovation. And then you have Ibrahim. And I think he didn't make it through to the semis, but he finished 4th for presentation.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, this was the barista evaluation segment of the score sheet. They were kind of releasing for the open rounds where all the different competitors ranked in that, and they kind of had espresso and barista evaluation. They were the only 2 segments they kind of released.
Yep.
But yeah, he placed equal 4th from the entire field up with 53
which is insane, which is incredible.
Yeah, very proud. Very proud, Ibrahim.
Yeah, so proud. And then, you know, I mean, I guess that comes down to the taste of the coffee, or maybe like the levels. I mean, we just drank his espresso right now.
Yeah, brought back some goodies.
This like purple grape, raisiny, bright, like had little zingy notes, really balanced. Liam said it was the best espresso he's ever had.
I'm not joking. I feel like I've heard you guys reminisce about your first time having like Ethiopian, like, and the blueberry characteristic is like the story I keep hearing everyone. And that coffee that I had, that espresso, the hubba bubba, grapey kind of thing, amazing. Yeah. Like I've never had something that's sweet that didn't have like, espresso I tend to like avoid because I'm so used to it being bitter and being kind of not my cup of tea, not my cup of coffee. But that was sweet and delicious and yum. You walking me through like the tasting notes, I'm like, oh, they're so there. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
From a textural thing, from a sweetness thing, amazing.
When dude, so this is a little segue, but you got to go then to Beta Coffee the next time you're up in Sydney, because he just took us on this like crazy adventure, and he's like, here's the emphasis, here's what I got in the back bar. And he goes, I just dial in a new coffee with a random bag every day. And he's like, let's grab one off the shelf, throws it in. And a lot of them are like, some of them are straight, clean, you know, washed whatevers, and some of them are a bit more crazy, but he's balancing them off. He's running some of those shots at like 60 degrees. And he's not balancing it off like what he should know scientifically or like what he should know by the books. He's just tasting and being like, go colder, go hotter, do this, updose that, do that. And it's like the shots are like completely, it's like espresso adjacent almost. It's like zero bitterness, texture, like crazy kind of things. And so if you were liking that from that bitterness perspective, you'd be really into like some of the stuff he was throwing out up there.
Super clean stuff.
But back to Ibrahim.
Yeah, look, coaching I just find is an incredibly rewarding kind of experience. It's just supporting people to kind of tackle that unique space that is the competition and just sharing kind of experiences there, but also helping them refine what they already want to say and what's important and kind of authentic for themselves up on stage. And Ibrahim did an incredible presentation because it was very much about his journey and Uganda's journey as a coffee producing country. And
Get
then
some tourism money behind this dude. Get some make him the poster boy.
That's it. He already is. He already is. Yeah, he works with a really cool coffee processing and export company called Mountain Harvest.
Yep.
And they've got like a number of different mills. And Ibrahim is actually the processing, like the mill manager. So he works with all of these smallholder farmers to receive their cherries and do the fermentations and the processing. So he's not a day-to-day barista at all. He's actually someone out in the field working on coffee processing. And so he actually processed this coffee that we just drank. It was the Cosoro coffee here, an anaerobically processed coffee, but pretty light and kind of controlled like refinement on that processing, not super crazy wild. And yeah, we were lucky enough to work together for the WBC with the coaching. So we did a lot of it remote, pretty much all of it remote. There wasn't quite enough time for me to fly to Uganda or him to fly to Australia. And so working on the concept and the script and kind of helping him refine those ideas. And then we met for like a couple of days before WBC in Milan and finally met in person and tasted a insane amount of coffees. I think it did not help jet lag with the 100 shots there. And then, I went off to the judging world and he went off to the competitor world and he just absolutely slammed it in the presentation and did an incredible job.
I think, was it Dale or someone was talking about it where he was talking about like, we always look at the winners or the runners up and like other people just kind of like fade away as it gets like lower and lower down the list. But the idea that some of these baristas would be sharing some of the most innovative stuff or doing whatever, maybe they lose in other areas or don't, take it home. But there needs to be a way of being like, and it's hard because you're not judging every single person, but I want like, here are the top 3 routines that you must watch, even if it's someone who got knocked out in the first round, but it's like, the storytelling is really important. Yep. Or B, this one thing that they did with their milk beverage is going to change the way milk beverages are done. There needs to be like something where like those things aren't just missed completely because there are so many elements that you could do. Like Ben I thought was doing some really cool stuff where it was hard to hear when I was there and I wasn't watching the video, but basically he served his milk beverage hot. And then there was like a spinning or dry ice or something that happened that instantly chilled it. And then you got to experience it cold and it completely changed what the drink was like. And I'm like, oh, that shouldn't be ignored. Like that was really interesting.
Yeah. Really cool. There's so many cool ideas and insights. And even though just as a spectator, you don't get to taste some of the results, which is really where like the rubber hits the road. But some of the ideas could spark off, I think, a really, really fascinating way to go.
And then an old idea and innovation that were they Indonesian? I can't remember if it was an Indonesian competitor, but I think they had this tool that you put on top of your espresso cup, you brew the coffee, and it sits on top of a ball, like a little ball. And so he could show the judges, I've got the crema, that's done. But then as you remove this device from the top of the espresso cup, the ball raises and the espresso goes through, but it removes all the crema. And this is an old idea. We were talking about this, 15 years ago of crema, let's scrape the crema off our coffee to make it taste better. But I think he actually had the highest scoring espresso in the entire competition. So that'll be an interesting thing that I'm sure we'll start seeing popping up on our feeds soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating we've talked about, and we kind of touched on a little bit with Maxwell, but the competitions have got such a specific focus and structure that the level of innovation in very particular pathways is really pushing the boundary, whether it be new technology, different techniques. different ways of even timing. There was a lot of competitors who were using the timing of when to drink and therefore the drinking temperature to really dial in your sensory experience.
Yeah.
Because the coffee will showcase in different ways, whether it's hot, warm, or cold. So that was, there's lots of little things to play
I think, also, someone like correct me on this because how do you, owner or honor?
Honor. I think it's honor.
Because so many people say owner. I always said honor. If anyone from owner
If the owner of honor, message us, tell us,
let us know
how do we say this?
How are we saying it? But I think when you buy from their specialty list or their high-end list, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but at a certain point you used to get a laser thermometer that would sit above your cup and it would tell you the temperature, and then you had a sheet next to you where it told you what the coffee would taste like at those temperatures.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, which is extreme, but it's cool. If you're paying $40 for a pour over, then that's the kind of experience that you kind of want. To some, it's crazy. You're not doing it if you're just buying a batch brew, but when you're spending that much money, it is good to have that further experience. And we are running out of time, but I did want to ask, judging, obviously seeing the winners go through and all that is great, but I wanted to give people a little peek behind the curtain, something that we talked about. You actually have to deal with the competitors that don't make it through, who you judge, and you have to talk them through that.
Yep.
What is that process like, and what is it mentally like for you? Is that a tough thing? Because these people have I'm assuming some of them are pretty heartbroken. I'm sure some are accepting. I'm sure some are angry. Can you just run us quickly through that experience?
Yeah, so this is a standard for any of the competitions is debriefing with the competitors afterwards.
It's like a breakup. You want to be able to just walk away, but you gotta sit down and it's the catch up, the breakup, the coffee after the breakup.
It's kind of probably what all relationships need is some accountability around that feedback, right? Is that we fill out our score sheets. The competitor. So basically what happens is the competitors who didn't make it through to the next round return back. They're given all of their score sheets from all of the judges. They get a period of time to kind of read through those and reflect and kind of see what went down, what was recorded. And then the judging panel has to sit with them and they have some time to kind of ask questions and clarify comments and find out some details. And obviously it's, no one's going into the competition going like, oh, I don't want to be the champion, right? Everyone's there with a goal. And so there's disappointment and it's a lot of build up, a lot of energy into it. But it's a really great experience. And it's over the years that I've been judging, it's got better and better in terms of how the judges are supported to develop that skill as well. Because there's a couple of key things. We can't coach anyone at that point. So really we're just reflecting on what was the sensory experience and how did we record that according to the rules and regulations, right? So if it's like the balance was out and had high acidity and low sweetness, that's what we can say. We can't say, well, your roasting was X, Y, Z and you should change this, because that's coaching and we don't know what the true cause of it was. So we're just reflecting this was our experience. So you got to not be coaching, but then it's also just, making sure that your comments really back up your scores based on the rules and regulations. That if you've given it a 3 out of 6, why? What was the gap that was missing that was needed to get to the 6?
So it sounds like to me, if you're someone that's serious about these competitions and doing that, it's like not to take on the disappointment, move into this section, and that catch-up really needs to be, if you're rounding up to go again the following year, know the rules, know the reasons, know all those places where you don't drop half a point or 1 point, or you didn't say this, or just those little things that you can kind of take into the following year. Because has there ever been a competitor that's entered their first competition, like nationals, got through, gone to the Worlds, won the Worlds, and just gone, I've done it?
Yeah.
Well, it has?
I want to say that it was Gwilym Davies in 2009 in Atlanta. I'd have to just double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was his first ever Barista Championships of the World and he won that year.
First ever entering any competition.
I feel like it might have been. I could be wrong about this.
Wild.
I think
it ruins
doing
my
a little bit of fact checking.
My point was going to be, there's one off. That guy is obviously the best in the world, and let's move on from that.
Yeah.
But my point was going to be from everyone that I've learned, it's like a learning, growing experience that you're never going to nail on that first go. And you've got to work the system and learn it.
And I think for competitors, a big thing is as well is understanding how the judges are needing to apply the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Because there's kind of that little gap between here's the stated things that the judges are looking for and then a taste and an understanding of the process that they go through to apply those in a coffee environment. And so, it's an interesting kind of experience, but definitely listening to the feedback and knowing what do I want to get out of this process as a competitor is really valuable. But I think it's such a powerful part because it really breaks down that barrier between the judge and the competitor. We're there to support them in understanding what happened from a customer experience and then really kind of being accountable. Not just like, I'm just going to write down a score and a comment and walk away and my job's done. It's like, no, you got to stand up and be in front of what you're writing. Yeah. So it needs to be a constructive process.
Yeah. Well, dude, congrats on doing all that. Like after seeing it firsthand, it's a lot that you do every single year and donate your time to and be a part of.
It's a huge team.
Big clap to all of the judges.
Yeah. Nice work, fellow judges.
Going out there behind the other side of the table.
Liam, do a little fact check on us.
It was correct. 2009, the only time he went into competition and was saying...
Yeah, but what was the competition in 2009? Just a couple of hillbillies like rocking up to it.
I remember watching that performance in Atlanta and it was mind-blowing, that 2009 presentation at Worlds.
Yeah, just saying that, watched Hoffman and Stephen Morrissey, is it?
Stephen Morrissey, yeah.
Stephen Morrissey. Yeah, helped him kind of seed and crush it.
Yeah.
2009 won it. The only time he went for it and he won it.
Yeah, and it was incredible.
What a dick.
And his performance, I think I'm correct in saying this, but his signature beverage was all about like customized flavors. And so he had like a rack of something like 16 different flavor components, like different reductions or syrups or flavorings, and he got the judges to basically customize like, what do you prefer, a sweet sour thing? Do you prefer a more floral chocolatey thing?
But one thing for all of them, but they kind of made it together.
And then he combined it. So out of the signature beverages that he could
made
create
it up on the day.
If you think about 16 different ingredients, the permutations, there were like just countless variations of what this signature drink could be. Wow. And he just kind of did it based on their feedback on the panel.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, that was an interesting, different pathway.
Well, go ahead, Liam.
No, so many things. While we're on that, how interactive can you make it?
You can make it pretty interactive. The judges really have to follow.
Jack actually made people do the Macarena while he was up there. They were like, as they were drinking.
That's a winning move.
Yeah. It's a good question.
You can get them participating in most things.
You're just coming around here.
Make the coffee.
Can you make the best coffee in the world
exactly.
right now?
Step it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some different techniques over the years of people getting the judges to engage with mixing things or adding and revealing stuff, or there was a bit more movement around tables this year.
And Mikhail kind of introduced that last year a lot, right? Like bringing people through an experience and walking the judges around.
Yeah. And so it's pretty cool. You can definitely get them interactive with it. There's limited time though, so.
Yeah. And it kind of makes sense though, because like a lot of part of this is hospitality, right? And sometimes in hospitality, that like being a part of it and feeling a part of it when you're in a restaurant or cafe is something that makes it more valuable to you sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh, leave me alone. Just let me do this thing. Wait, before we go further, I'm getting someone in the ears. Who have I got here? I think it's Ollie from Condesa Co.Lab.
Bring us home with the market report, Ollie. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, do it. Sorry, cut him off.
Guys, always good to hear from you. It's Wednesday, the 5th of November. And today, the market sits at 405.25. We're basically remaining in that trading band, the low side at 380 and the higher side at 420, and we're essentially trading sideways. There is not much change in the circumstances, but the following factors do remain. Bullish support factors behind the commodity market include the e-stock levels at a 19th month low. Last time we saw levels below this was during COVID-19. Stocks are currently at 431,728 bags. That, of course, is supporting the idea of scarcity and therefore higher prices. The USA Fed rate is expected to be cut again. This is a third cut, and it looks around to be about 25 basis points scheduled for December. This also supports higher sea market prices by weakening the US dollar demand. On a more bearish factor that would cause the market to go down, we are seeing weaker Brazil real against the USD. And this favors coffee exports, which in turn puts that downward pressure for coffee futures. On top of this, Brazil weather has been very positive in most regions, supporting strong flowering for the 2026 crop. But there is a slight risk of La Nina, and we need to watch this over the coming months. Too much rain could damage the flowers. And that's it from me. But I would just say, in the spirit of learning and innovation, I encourage all of you to engage in and start to track on a daily basis the sea market levels, and also start to understand what the USD AUD levels look like. This should be done on a daily basis. We should all get informed. We should all become knowledgeable and empower ourselves. And that's it from me. Back to you guys in the office. And of course, it's just coffee.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that was an amazing market report.
Thanks for the update, Ollie. Great to have all of the insights to know where the market is heading this week, because it's changing so fast.
But yes, thank you to all the judges out there. That brings us to the end of the coffee break. If you have any questions, hit us up at hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. And I think we mentioned last time, but I'll bring it up again. Like, there's anyone who's a coffee enthusiast who works in the industry, who loves it, but also maybe has some background in media or journalism or that. Like, we're always looking for people as we grow this team here and grow the pod and we're traveling more. It'd be great for someone with a journalistic eye that wants to dive deeper and work with us here at the team. We'd love that. Obviously, Melbourne would be the most preferable because that's where we're located, but we'd still love to hear from people all around the place.
Got the skills, we're open.
Yeah,
let us know.
And we just want to build that community across the globe as we do it. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email there. The socials, it's just coffee.podcast. I think if you search It's Just Coffee, you'll find it. I don't even know anymore, like what we're doing out there.
All the platforms, all the handles, it's just coffee.
And thank you again for listening. We love you all very deeply. Ben, I love you. Liam. See you next time.
We love Liam too. See you, everyone.
I love Liam. I love Liam too much.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I really love Liam.
Well, those tunes.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apex Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apex Lab mineral concentrates. Apex Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. Not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apex Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apexlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought I was going to say the website. Thanks.
Jack Simpson just won the World Barista Championship, officially making him the best barista on the planet. And guess what milk he used to win? Riverina Fresh. So yeah, I guess it makes it the best milk in the world. Well, that's what I've decided anyway. Smooth, creamy, and designed specifically for coffee, the same milk trusted by the world champion. If you've got a cafe, you can try it for free right now at riverinafresh.com.au. Go see why the best in the world pours Riverina Fresh.
Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good.